Hello, everyone. Okay, so hi, welcome. So today we are at your first, assuming this is your first, Let's Get Ready Why College workshop. So we are going to be talking today about what are some reasons that some people choose to go to college, and this main overall question that we're going to be looking at today is, what are the goals that motivate me, and how does this connect to going to college? So my name is Aya, and I am going to be working with, I believe I have two facilitators today. If you guys want to pop in and say hi in the chat, that'd be great. We have Sarah, which is our program manager, and then Adeline. Yeah, so they're just going to be helping me with timekeeping. And yeah, they'll be here to answer questions. I know Sarah answered some questions last time if I haven't seen your question, Sarah will take a brief look at it. Okay, so we're gonna be doing covering what's exciting about college, common concerns about college, like applications, balancing different priorities, adjusting to a new environment, and then a really popular topic is affording college financially. And then after the concerns, we're going to be talking about some personal motivations for going to college and then just a closing. So before we get into it, here's a little bit more about me. Like, I'm Aya. I go to the University of Rochester with its dual degree program with the Eastman School of Music. So my major is a mouthful. Get ready for it. I'm majoring in political science and classical guitar performance on a pre-law track. And pre-law track just basically means that I want to go to law school, so I'm taking classes to help prepare me for that. A little bits of info about me is I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Everybody could plug in where they're from in the chat if they feel like it. Um, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, and I love it with my whole entire heart. My favorite part of college is making new friends. I have met friends from all over the country. I have some friends from Cali, which is crazy considering I go to school in upstate New York, but I really just loved meeting new people in college. Seeing a lot of Philly, PA, Lower East Side, Queens, okay, we got New Yorkers, Maine, okay. A lot of people from the East Coast, love to see it. Yeah, so I think my music taste is probably one of the most interesting things about me. So I am a guitarist at heart, and I go to school for music. So I have exposed myself to a lot of different genres. I'm a huge Swiftie, which is normally a really big part of my personality. I just love Taylor Swift. I listen to a lot of classical music. I listen to metal, alternative rock, some indie, pop, and then some country. I want to really emphasize that I only listen to some country. I don't know. I used to be one of those haters that would be like, I'd never get into country, but low key, it's kind of been hitting. Okay, yeah. So before we get into any of the actual material, I just want to talk about a raffle that we're gonna have today. So we'll have a $10 raffle, and you can get up to 3 entries today. So the first one you can get is chat in a response or a question in the chat. So a lot of you have already done that. Keep up the good work. The second entry you could get is by unmuting and responding to a question or asking a question. And the third one is just keeping your camera off, keeping your camera on. Bad slip up. But the winner will be announced after the workshop. We'll send you either a text or an email just letting you know that you won the raffle. And again, you can earn up to 3 tickets today by doing any of these 3 things. And this raffle is kind of part of a bigger raffle as well. So for every workshop that you attend, you get 1 point towards our annual grand prize raffle. So we at the end of all of our workshops, we give out 3 prizes. So the first prize is $25 gift card, the other is a $50 gift card, and the third one is a $100 gift card. So I highly recommend coming to more of our workshops. They're not only really helpful, but you'll also have a chance at winning $100. Okay, so let's get into it. Our first section is college excitement and common concerns. So we're just going to be talking about some of the reasons why people choose to go to colleges and some concerns that may come with it. The end goal here is really to get you guys thinking more about what you kind of want to see in your undergraduate experience, what type of environment you want to be in. And since there are a lot of different universities and colleges in the US, I believe there are over 5,000, there's a lot to think about before making a decision. Yeah, so that's the section. We're going to start it off by doing something called a Padlet. So Padlet is similar to Jamboard. I'm not sure if you guys had to do Jamboard in during over Zoom, but you're basically just sharing what you think to a question. So we're going to be answering two questions. The first one is, what are some of the reasons why people decide to go to college? And question number two is, what are some of the things that intimidate people in college? And so one of my moderators just dropped the link into the chat. I'm going to show you guys how it works right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the plus for the first question and then answer the question. So question number one is, what are some of the reasons why people decide to go to college? This could be the most obvious one, is to get an education. Pardon me, I'm just going to butcher that word. But yeah, so feel free to answer the first question. We'll get into the second one after we review some of the responses from the first question. So yeah, take 2 minutes to be able to do that. Okay, so it looks like we are done with the first one. I'm seeing a lot of common themes of like wanting to go to college to obtain like certain jobs that require college degrees. A lot of jobs do require college degrees, which is one of the biggest reasons why people do go to college, to kind of achieve those jobs. Some people love learning. I personally love learning. I can't imagine life without learning. And so I really, really did want to kind of pursue an education where I'd be learning a lot more at much higher rates and stuff. And yeah, a lot of the more high-end careers and stuff like doctors, lawyers, engineers, all that stuff, sometimes you need to not only have a college degree, but you might have to attend graduate school to obtain those careers, and college is kind of like your first stepping stone there. So really good, really, really good notes here, guys. Okay, so I definitely am seeing a lot of common themes here of like financial aspects of college. This is a really common concern, and we will be getting into this a little later in the workshop. On top of this, we also have another workshop just for financial aid and stuff. So just pay attention for that. I saw an answer that I really liked. The after effects of college. I think a lot of people kind of go into college being scared of what comes after, me included. I feel like things start becoming a little bit more real once you get to college, so that's completely valid. Yeah, and the last answer here about like financial issues and not having enough confidence in yourself, we're going to be talking about a lot of these stuff. And I just want you guys to know that all your concerns are valid. But good news is that there's ways to overcome all of them. So we're going to be talking about the most common concerns and just giving a little bit more insight of how we can navigate / deal with them. Okay. So one of the most common concerns is that college applications are a lot of work. So we're just going to be talking about how they are a lot of work. However, there are strategies that will make them a lot less stressful for you if you start putting in the work now. So my moderators are going to launch a poll, and I just want you guys to know, I want to know if you guys feel more intimidated about any of these. So I remember when I was in your position as a high school junior, I was so terrified about like the SAT and financial aid. That would probably like scared the hell out of me, but I just want to know what you guys are feeling right now. But I am seeing that a lot of you guys are worried about the personal statement. I can completely get it. I feel like there's a lot of pressure surrounding personal statements. But at the end of the day, all a personal statement is just a writing sample for admissions counselors to get to know who you are as a person. And it could really be anything that you make it to be. I believe we might be covering this in a later workshop, but I'm always available to meet with any of you guys if you want help on a personal statement. I love reading stuff and reviewing it. So Yeah, I'll put in my email at the end of the workshop, so feel free to reach out. Okay. So here are just some important things to note about the college application. So yes, applications are a lot of work, but by leaning on your support right now, it'll be the easiest way to kind of make them more manageable in your senior year. So it's all about finding a good support system. So this could look like college counselors, guidance counselors, and teachers. I know not all schools may have college counselors. However, almost every single one of your teachers has gone through the college education process. You kind of have to go to college and even get your master's in education to be able to work in a school setting. So remember that they have gone through the same exact thing as you. And even though it may have been a little different, they still did generally similar things. So they're a really good support system for you. Family and friends. So I have not, I'm the first in my family to attend college in the US. I'm a first generation college student. So my family wasn't really able to help me out with a lot of the things that I needed help with in terms of my college application. However, they were a really, really good outlet for me mentally. I felt like I was getting overwhelmed during a lot of points in the process. However, it felt really good to just be able to lean on my family for that. And same thing with my friends, especially my friends, because we're going through the same exact thing at the same time. They're also going through this application process. So it's just really nice to have somebody go through that with me. And then finally, your Let's Get Ready coaches are here for you. When I was a junior, I participated in the SAT tutoring program that Let's Get Ready has, and it helped boost my SAT score a little bit more. And I still have a coach to this day. So I was in your position once. And I just want to say that your Let's Get Ready coaches are great resources. Make sure that you ask them for anything you need. And again, I'm always here if you need anything. Um, so there are a bunch of different other people that may help you out. And if you think of anybody that could help you out in this in college application and I didn't list them here, feel free to list them in the chat. And finally, I just want to say that things will be much less stressful if you start taking one step at a time. And you guys are already in great shape by being here tonight. It's definitely way better to get a start in your junior year as opposed to the last like the last month of your senior year. So I have a question. It's once you're in college, who might you be able to go to for advice about balancing academics with fun and other responsibilities? Yeah, this is a great question, and we actually cover this a little later on. So yeah, we'll just look at that when we get there. So pro tip, a lot of the work is about getting to know yourself. This may be really scary for some people, and for other people, they may have always known themselves. And so this is kind of what it looks like. So you might be asking yourself, who am I? Other people are like, they know exactly who they are. They know who they've been since day one. And sometimes it's just like that for people. Other times you're going to find yourself asking yourself questions like, what's my life? What do I like? And what are my priorities? And all of these are completely valid. But at the end of the day, it's just going to feel like you're going on an adventure, whether that's educationally, in terms of like self-love and self-discovery. There's so much that goes into the application process beyond just you applying to a school. It's about getting to know yourself and starting to make really important decisions for yourself. Yeah. So our next concern is that balancing priorities might be hard. Like we just had a question about that in the chat. So I can't lie, when I got into college, I was struggling a little bit with kind of juggling my social life with my academic life. However, there were a lot of people to help out with that. So here's this section.
Yeah.
It's only my third day out here. I don't know.
Yo.
Yeah, I was very, very lost. Like my first week, I was everywhere all at once. And I just want to say that college comes with a lot of different changes. Like you're going to be going from a high school schedule where you're most likely getting into school at like 7 or 8 a.m. and then leaving at around 2 p.m. For me, I used to get into school 7:15 and leave 3 p.m. from Monday through Friday in high school. And that did not look like my college schedule. In my freshman year, I had Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays off. So I used to only have classes on Tuesday and Thursday. I had an abundance of free time and I did not know how to handle all of that. So it was a lot of change in an academic setting, but also I chose to go away for college. So I lived in a dorm. And living in a dorm is super fun at times, but again, sometimes people do tend to get carried away with like social life and trying to get to know everybody all at once. And so it is a lot of change. It's a huge, huge transition. You're going to be learning not only more about yourself, but about how you interact with other people. And so a lot of this may sound very, very scary, but I promise you that once you kind of get the gears going on this, it's not as hard as it seems. And everything that you're feeling is normal. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to give some strategies for adjusting to college. So the first one is giving yourself time to adapt. A lot of people are super hard on themselves in the first semester of college because they may be struggling a little bit in their classes. I came from a high school where math and science wasn't really something that we really excelled in, to put it quite plainly. And I really struggled in a lot of my theory-based classes where I had to do a lot of math. And so I kind of was rough on myself. I hated that I couldn't understand. And looking back at it, I think it's good to give yourself some grace when you're adjusting to a new setting, both academically and socially, like I said before. Um, Another thing to really help you, just kind of like the application process, is creating a support network. So what this can look like is reaching out to your peers, upperclassmen, academic advisors, and your off-campus support could look like staying in touch with your family, your friends from back home, and just anything that's not school related. And I see a question in the chat. I'm having trouble selecting a major right now, and I'm leaning on majoring as a computational cognitive science with a minor in applied math, but how should we approach selecting a major? I'm not gonna lie, for the first 3 semesters of college, I was undecided, and that's a lot, but you don't really have to declare your major up until the end of sophomore year at most schools. I came into college undeclared. I had no idea what I was gonna major in, but over time, I kind of started meeting with people and I had a general idea of what I was interested in. And it looks like you have a decent idea of what you want to major in. And yeah, completely common concern, but you'll figure it out, definitely. I'm going to talk a little bit more about campus resources that'll help you figure out selecting a good major. So the fourth thing is deciding on your priorities. So make sure that you kind of figure out what it is that you want to get out of college. Yeah, so here's our next slide. So creating your support system. Once you're in college, who might you be able to go to for advice about balancing academics with fun and other responsibilities? So if anybody wants to share what they think could be the answer to this, feel free to put that in the chat. I'll give you guys about like a minute or two. Yeah, I'm seeing some really good answers in the chat. So a lot of them is student services, trusted peers, family, tutors. Tutors is a great one. Yeah, family, friends, guidance counselors, college counselors. Yeah, so here are just some of the answers. So I put upperclassmen. Upperclassmen in my major specifically really helped with trying to figure out what classes I should be taking, when I should be taking them from a student's perspective. Academic advisors are great for this as well, but upperclassmen are kind of on the student side of things, which may help you gauge an idea of like what certain professors may be like. Another thing is professors. Professors are great people. A lot of the time they are here to teach you and they're here to get to know you. So no matter what school you go to, professors will have something called office hours, which if you didn't have that in high school, it's basically just a dedicated time to help students with answering any questions they have regarding the course, or just getting to know students. So make sure you utilize those. Another thing that we have, the school counseling center. So my school gives students 10 free therapy sessions each year, and a lot of students do take advantage of that. It's super easy to get overwhelmed in college, and you might want to put a little bit more effort into taking care of your mental health. So school counseling centers are really, really great for that. And then we have staff and identity-based centers on campuses. So my school personally has a lot of these. We have like centers for minoritized students. So we have the Office of Minority Student Affairs. We have the Office of Students with Disabilities. We have the Susan B. Anthony's Women's Center. We have the Paul Burgett Intercultural Center, which basically just celebrates international students and students from different cultures. We also have a queer student office, so just really just helps out students from all walks of life and all identities. And then finally, you have your Let's Get Ready coaches and just tip sheets to help you out with this. You will have a coach as you continue on through college. So I still have a coach to this day, and my coach just sends me reminders on like registration, paying my first bill, whether I'm doing good academically. So you definitely will have a support system here. Yeah, we can get into our next one. So colleges have a lot of valuable resources and stuff. They are paid. They are required to have all these resources for you. And they kind of funnel money into all these different sections of student life. So we have workout facilities. I know that when I get stressed, a really good way to relieve that is just going on a run. My school has an indoor track, which I really like running on. Sometimes we have great gyms. So make sure you really look into a college that has something that stands out for you like this. The tutoring center, for a lot of our like STEM majors and math-based majors, and sometimes even people who struggle a little bit more with writing, the tutoring center is a great place to be. I have a tutor currently, and they really, really do help out with when I'm feeling confused and lost in my academic life. We have academic advising. So academic advisors, you've probably heard me say this word a lot by now. These are people who are paid to be there for you and to help you graduate. A lot of the time, these are full-time staff at the university or college that you are attending, and they're going to tell you potential majors. They're going to help you figure out what classes you should be taking, whether you're on track for graduation. A lot of the times, you'll have the same advisor from freshman year all the way up to whenever you graduate. And then, like I said, mental health services, super important in college, even if you haven't had the opportunity to explore them in high school. A lot of the times in college, they're offered for free. So feel free to check that out. So the next slide is finding out what your priorities may be in college. So I know you may be confused and thinking, like, why do I need to know what my priorities are? Like, I'm sure it's going to be academics. And this is what a lot of people think going into it, that academics are going to be the only thing that they focus on in college. But that may not always be the case. So while academics will be a priority, they're most likely not going to be your only priority, and sometimes they won't even be your number one priority. So a lot of things that students could potentially care about is gaining professional experience to improve their resume, building relationships with potential mentors, so whether that's advisors or professors or alumni, whatever it may be, creating community and lifelong relationships, and having new experiences and expanding horizons. So when I was a freshman, I really tried to prioritize academics, which I did. But as I was focusing on prioritizing academics, I realized that I wasn't doing that much to find internships or helping improve my resume. So I started looking more into this, and I found a lot of great stuff that came out of like kind of shifting my priorities a little bit. Of course, I still will always prioritize my academics. However, building a resume is super important for just getting a job in the future. And my moderator put in a question in the chat, which is, what's one thing from this list or beyond it that you really want to get out of your college experience? And no answer is a wrong answer. All of these are completely valid. All of these are priorities to me. And yeah, it may be different for everybody. Yeah, definitely building up a good resume is a great way to set you up for success in terms of just finding a job post college. It definitely does help to get hands-on experience, especially if you're trying to go into a more like um business oriented field. And then Jack, that's not a dumb question, don't worry at all, but supplemental essays are smaller essays that you'll have to see in college applications. So not a lot of colleges ask for supplementals. Oftentimes it's like private schools and higher education institutions. And they basically just ask you, like, why do you want to come to our college in specific? Yeah, hope that helps a little bit. But yeah, you guys are doing great. All completely valid questions. Research is a great one. Yeah. I started doing research this year. I had no clue like what I could have done in college, but the University of Rochester is a research-based institution. 70% of our students do research by the time they graduate, and it's something really, really important if you're trying to go into fields that are more STEM focused. That's really great. Great answer. Okay, so the next thing we have is a short 5-minute break. Before we get into it, I just want to remind anybody that came in a little late. We have a raffle for $10 today, and you're able to win it if you ask a question, turn on your camera, or come off mute and respond to something. So yeah, just want to plug that again. But yeah, take 5 minutes and enjoy yourself. Go get water, use the bathroom, whatever you may do. We will regroup in 5. So our next concern number 3. Concern number 3 is being in a new environment. So like I said before, college is a huge transition, not only academically, but socially. And this section, I really want to focus on the social aspects of adjusting to college. And a lot of people feel hesitant to leave um their town for a number of reasons. Some people may not want to leave their friends from back home. They don't want to leave their family. They don't want to leave their partner, which is completely reasonable. Um, yeah, so some things that may come up during this is like whether or not you want to stay at a school that's near you, like a state school that you commute to easily, or if you want to go away for college, so a couple hours away. And then some other questions that come up is what type of community do I want to be in? Do you want to be in a rural area? Do you want to be in an urban area? There's just a million other things that can come up, and it is intimidating at first, but we're just going to get into a little bit about how we can navigate that. So everybody has different desires and needs, and we base that off of the following things. So our goals, values, identities, life experiences, personalities, preferences, and physical or mental health. So a lot of the times people choose the college they want to go to based off of some experiences that they had in high school. So if you liked going to high school in a smaller setting, chances are you'll choose to go to a college with a smaller population. If you didn't like going to a small high school, you can go to a college with thousands of kids and it might be helpful for you. But it really just is about your identity and what you think you need as a person. So it's super personal. The next thing we're gonna do is a little bit more interactive. So hope you guys are feeling social because you're gonna be in breakout groups. So in college, we get to choose the types of communities that we want to be a part of. So when you guys are in the breakout groups, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to introduce yourself. And here are the questions that we're gonna answer. So I also got a great question in the chat that I'll answer after breakout groups. But introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, what about your high school community did you like and want to be similar? And then third, what's something that you want to be different in college? So we're going to be put into breakout groups for about 6 minutes. And yeah, after we get out, we'll have a couple people share and then yeah, that's completely valid. Thanks for sharing. I grew up in Brooklyn, so I've always been in the city, and I kind of wanted a suburban I wanted a suburban setting, so I feel like people are always flipped in that way. Yeah, anybody else?
I really just want to get out there and know what my options are when I get into like college, like get into different clubs and explore them. Like really get to know what I can really do.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that a lot of colleges have hundreds of clubs for you to choose from. Um, right before, we also got a question about how I picked my college. It was, I can't lie, it was challenging for me. I had a bunch of great schools to choose from. But at the end of the day, I kind of based it off of what I thought would align more with my long-term goals as a lawyer. The University of Rochester offered me really good financial aid, and they had an amazing pre-law program and political science department. So, kind of looking at my long-term goals was just what really, really helped me decide on a college. Yeah, thanks for the question. Okay, so we're gonna be learning a little bit more about mission-driven schools. So mission-driven schools are schools that their mission, as it's suggested in the name, is to support specific groups of students. So some of these schools are historically Black colleges and universities slash HBCUs. We have religious colleges, so this is any college with like a religious affiliation. There are colleges for the deaf and hard of hearing, and then we have historically single-sex universities. So there, these schools practically serve these students mostly. I feel like some colleges are not only exclusive to these students, but they're centered around these topics and stuff. We also have one that's called Hispanic Serving Institutions. So this is where roughly 25% or more of the population is Hispanic. So yeah, my moderator just dropped another tip sheet. Thank you for that. And so you guys are able to look for any of these that stand out to you or you think you like. Yeah, feel free to look at that whenever you get the chance to. And there are other schools that aren't mission driven, but still do support a lot of these students through offices or whatever resources it may be. So there are, on the flip side, we kind of have something called PWIs, and these are predominantly white institutions. So these are institutions that historically served white people. And so the University of Rochester is one that, unfortunately, up until like some point in the 1900s, only let in white men and did not let in women or any sort of people of color. Um, and so they are known as historically white institutions. So for those who haven't spent the time in a predominantly white space, this can create a little bit of culture shock. I came from a school that was top 30 in diversity across the US, and I came to a school that now has less than a 7% total like student of color population. So that was definitely something that was super weird for me to see. It felt like they censored whiteness. And for a little bit, it took me a while to kind of get adjusted to the fact that I am no longer the majority in my school and I am once more a minority. But yeah, so a little bit more about PWIs is that um every college is different and has its own school culture. So some PWIs have a really, really strong sense of community within marginalized groups, which I am glad to attend a school like that. We have multiple student clubs like the Black Student Union. We have like an Arab American Student Union. There are just a million student unions and clubs that kind of just focus on cultural stuff, cultural and identity-based things. So yeah, if this is something that matters to you, colleges are required to put out their demographics. So just really get a look into that and see if this is something that matters to you. But I just want to really, really stress that no matter where you choose to go, there are going to be people that support you. And then Carla asked, if it's not too personal to ask, what was your SAT score? I the first time I took it, I got like a really bad score. I think it was like a 990, but then around like the second time and like the past few times, I think I got up to like a 1200 range. I was in the test optional cycle, so a lot of my colleges didn't require that I submitted SAT scores, and a lot of colleges still don't require SAT scores, but good news for you guys is that Let's Get Ready does have like SAT workshops starting in January. So if that's something you're going to be concerned about, there are opportunities for you to get tutoring to help boost your score. But a lot of the time, schools are test optional and don't only look at your SAT score. Like it can only help your application. Yeah. So going back to like student groups and finding campus spaces, I just wanted to look at some of the student centers that could really help people. So this is International Student Services, Disability Services, Queer Student Resources, Center for Spiritual Life, like the Interfaith Chapels, and just other stuff for like spiritual and faith things. Student clubs, so this could be club sports, so not professional like NCAA sports, but just something that you could do for fun. There's community service initiatives, whether this is like organizations that specifically work to just being involved in your community. There are a lot of great orgs on separate college campuses that work for this. There's political student clubs. I know my school has college Democrats, college Republicans, and then everything in between. And then we have like affinity groups. So like I was talking about, Black Student Alliance, Rural Student Association, Filipinx Student Organization, Alliance for Immigrants, and First Gen Student Union. So take a moment to just reflect on an aspect of your identity that you want other students, just take a look at something that you think is important off this list. You don't have to send it. You could write it down or just think about it, but I'll just give you guys like a couple of seconds to see what may stand out to you from this list. And to answer your question, Kobe, I do think that it is important to take college classes while in high school. If you do well on them, it shows the admissions counselors that you are equipped to be able to handle like a college paced class. So it definitely does help out your application a lot if you have taken them. But also if you haven't, no worries. It's another thing that can just kind of prove your academics to the college counselor, so definitely helpful to take college classes. And it also gives you a good feel, it gives you a great feel of what it will look like to take a college class. I took a couple of AP classes and college classes in high school, and it definitely did help a little bit, but also if you don't do the best on it, they do cut you a little bit more slack since you are still a high school student. And yeah, rec sports are super fun. I play club volleyball every once in a while, and it's just another great way to just like keep my mind off academics for a little bit. Okay, so concern number 4. This is a pretty popular one. We are going to be talking about financial aid stuff now. And if any questions come up, type them in the chat. Either me or Sarah will try to get back to you on these, and I'll try to answer as much as I can. So concern number 4, college is expensive.
Today. Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
So this may be how you feel when looking at the sticker price of certain colleges. This is Syracuse University, a private university in upstate New York, and this is the cost of attendance for Syracuse. This is also very similar to my school. My school, our total cost of attendance is somewhere in the $80,000 to $90,000 range. And that's not even including like other fees that you may have to spend in order to get to school and stuff like that. So this can seem like a lot of money, and it definitely is a lot of money. But here's just some ways that you can help like offset the price of this. So you are rarely ever going to end up paying the full price to college. So we have the sticker price, which is what we just saw, and then from the sticker price, you subtract scholarships and grants. So scholarships and grants are money that you don't have to pay back to the college or the government that they give you, that you pay for college with. So a lot of the time, this can range from being a couple of $100s to even full ride scholarships and grants. And then after you subtract that, that's the net price of college. So this is what you're actually going to end up paying. And the value of college is something that you really have to ask for about yourself. Do you think it's worth it to pay X amount of money for this school, or would you rather pay this amount for that school? So I just want that to be something you guys consider. So I have a friend that goes to Syracuse, and this is not even close to what he pays. Syracuse and a bunch of private schools, not only in New York State, but across the entire US, have programs specifically designed for low-income students to get almost full rides when they attend college. So my friend is able to attend Syracuse University for a very, very, very low price. I'm talking close to maybe $1,000 or even $0 if you take out loans. Yeah. So although this may seem super scary, you're not ever gonna pay this full amount. It's very rare that you ever will. Sorry, 1 second. So student loans, this is a really big topic. I saw a lot of concerns on this in Padlet and stuff. And so for a big number of students, student loans are necessities. Tons of my friends have taken out loans. I've had to take out small loans as well. And although it may be scary, there are a lot of programs for you to kind of make sure that you're paying your loans on time and getting help with this. So there are strategies altogether for minimizing student loan debt, and building an affordable college list is like the #1 step for this. And student loan forgiveness is a really popular debate in politics right now, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. Yeah, but my moderator just dropped in another link in the chat to just talk about like what's the current status regarding like student loan forgiveness and just student debt crisis. So thank you for that. Yeah. So here are just some ways to make college affordable. So this can be looking at schools with a low sticker cost. So this could look like community colleges, which are 2-year colleges. These are public in-state universities. So for my New Yorkers in the chat, this looks like your CUNY system and your SUNY system. So like Hunter, Baruch as your CUNYs, and then the SUNYs are like Binghamton, University of Buffalo, University of Albany. And then I know I had some people from Massachusetts. I think that's like your entirety of like the UMass college system. Those are all public in-state universities. And for everybody else, a lot of the times your college in-state university will look like University of Maine or Maine State University. It's just if it ends in like state university, that's your state university. And these tend to have lower sticker costs. There are low tuition schools, so this can also be a public school. Sometimes they're private schools with lower tuition costs. And then there are tuition-free schools. I don't know any off the top of my head, but I know that there are programs in New York State especially that basically give free tuition to students who come from families making under $125,000, and that's called the Excelsior Scholarship. So it does exist that certain schools are tuition free. I believe Johns Hopkins and NYU recently like announced that they'd be going tuition free for students making under X, Y, and Z amount. But yeah, so these are schools with lower sticker prices. Then we have schools with good financial aid. So these are schools that meet 100% of your demonstrated need. So they determine what your family is able to pay and what you can't pay, and they meet the full amount of what you can't pay. And a lot of the time, these end up being schools like private schools. My school met 100% of my demonstrated need, and it was a very nice financial aid package. I am paying significantly less than others to attend college. And then we also have colleges that meet 100% of demonstrated need for undocumented students. Don't let your immigration status deter you from applying to college. There are options for you no matter what. And then we have colleges who provide really good scholarships, like full ride scholarships for high performing students. So there's school with full rides and then schools with large endowments that just have the money to provide all the financial aid for students. And these slides are going to be sent out post workshop, so you'll have a chance to look at all of them. How are college classes graded compared to AP classes? College classes really depend on your professor a lot of the time. I have professors that base off our entire grade just on attendance, and then I have professors that base grades off of like 3 tests and an exam. So it really just depends on how your professor is. Yeah, but they tend to be similar. At the end of the day, you just really have to look at the syllabus for each one of your college classes to determine how they're graded. From my experiences, my AP teachers were honestly a little more rough in terms of grading. Like I don't do as much work. It definitely is still a lot of work, but from my own personal experience, I had to do a lot more work in like my A push class as opposed to like my introductory class. Carla asked, what are some things I did in high school that got me into the college that I'm in now? So I had a part-time job at a law firm, it's internship, and that helped. So getting an internship helps no matter what field it is. I also worked at Old Navy. And I just did a lot of stuff inside the school. So that looks like student leadership org. So that was student government. I did like mentoring with freshmen, really whatever it is. And Carla, if you would like to, if anybody else would like to, you guys can set up meetings with me so I can give you like a good idea of what are some really nice extracurriculars to get into after college. Super helpful. Anything that is leadership focused is great. And also, if you're up for it, founding a club looks amazing on a college application. But again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me and set up a time to talk and we can go through that. Okay, so let's touch on some personal motivations for college. So this looks like there are 2 separate things. This is intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is basically everything that you are motivated by internally. So this could look like pride, interest, achievement, and curiosity. So I would probably group like confidence into this and stuff. So anything that really speaks to you personally for wanting to go to college is considered an intrinsic motivator. And then we have extrinsic motivation. So this can look like grades. Unfortunately, these aren't always the nicest ones. This could look like punishment if you don't go to college, money issues, or money could be something that motivates you to go to college, and then praise. So these are bigger, more societal things, and both of them are 100% normal. And it's just really important to find a balance between what you want to motivate you. So it is healthy to want to go to college to get money, but at some point you have to recognize to not like spread yourself thin or just drive yourself crazy over trying to get money while you're in college. And same thing with like intrinsic stuff. Like if you're too curious, you might lose some of your goals. And so it's really just all about finding a good balance. So we have a reflection activity. And I just want you guys to consider what college motivations feel right to you. So that can be personal growth and fulfillment, community or service, like how you'll contribute to the world, family, and societal expectations. So I just want you guys to think of what really motivates you, and just write that down. Don't share it in the chat just yet. We'll get into small groups afterwards, but take 4 minutes for this. Okay, so hopefully you guys had the time to think a little bit more about this. We're gonna put you in breakout rooms and share out whatever you feel comfortable with, what motivations you highlighted. So if you're with new people, introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, share what stood out to you about your personal why, and then which of the motivations you wrote about feel most personally fulfilling. So see you guys in a couple minutes. Hey, welcome back, everybody. If anybody would like to share what they learned this time around in breakout groups, feel free to, again, either come off mute or type it in the chat. So Carla said, I'm excited to get a perspective of what my life will look like outside of high school. Yeah, It probably is going to be different, but a lot of the times it's different in a good way. So thanks for sharing. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Okay. It is okay. We can move on to the, oh, great question from Sarah. I mean, comment. One thing I'm excited for in college is getting to take classes related to my future job and taking classes that are required right now to graduate. Yeah, I definitely feel that. My school has something called an open curriculum, and we don't have to take any classes that we don't want to take. So for my school, there's no such thing as a required class. To be very honest with you, there are a lot of classes, there are a lot of schools that have still a core curriculum, but if that's something that you're interested in, look into schools with open curriculums, and these schools basically just they don't have any required classes, and it's all up to you to decide what classes you want to take for your major. So yeah, just open curriculum schools. Yeah, thanks for sharing. So as a little bit of a closing for this section, here's some things that it's super important for you to remember when thinking about like internal and external motivators. It is okay and normal to care about both internal and external motivators. You can find yourself caring a little bit more about one thing over the other, but at the end of the day, it's all about finding out what's more important to you. And make sure you're compromising. Do what's important for not only but for yourself, but try to listen a little bit to what other people have to say, whether that's like actual like advisors and stuff. Don't listen to people who don't really know too much about like the logistics of everything. Sometimes it could be a little challenging to take advice from people that don't necessarily have the best intentions. But make sure at some point you realize that like you can't always listen to people, but listen to some things that they say that you find generally helpful, because at the end of the day, your decision is yours to make and it should feel right for you. So that is about it. We're gonna be close. So right before we finish, I just wanted to give an opportunity to give you guys to share any feedback that you may have regarding either, I'm not sure what the feedback form has, but it'll ask for a little bit more about your insight on how this workshop went today. So yeah, feel free to fill that out if you'd like to. It's not required, but it helps. So does anybody have any closing questions? You are free to leave if you don't have any questions, but you're welcome to type in any questions in the chat.